Instagram. Hello, Facebook. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so it's Thursday, and I don't know if you caught it on my story, but I did a little Thirsty Thursday, even though I'll go live later with a Thirsty Thursday. But I went live showing you guys how I make my go-to smoothie every morning. So, but I wanted to talk to you today about abuse, and not in the way that you think. When I asked the question, do you abuse yourself? I wasn't meaning like, do you punch yourself and things like that. I started this new book that I posted about yesterday on Instagram and my personal Facebook page called The 4 Agreements. And it's crazy because one of my best friends had told me about this book. She sent me a picture of it. She's like, this needs to go on your wish list of books to get. Well, I didn't add it on my wish list. I just went onto Amazon and got it right away. It was like $5. And I finished my other book that I was reading, so I started this one. I'm normally a Kindle girl, but I wanted the book. That way, if I needed to highlight things, I had a feeling there was going to be a lot of good content in here. So I like to highlight it when I find things that I like. I didn't necessarily highlight this part that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I just there's a box of tissues next to where I read, and I just shoved the tissue in the book. As you can see, here's another tissue in the book, just so I would have the spots. Good morning, Laura. And basically, so far, this book is talking about, like, what this book is for is when you have that self-limiting belief. Good morning, Mom. And this gives you 4 agreements. It's almost like a code of conduct that can help you with that. And that's something that I struggle with different aspects in life. So when I was reading this morning, this one little a few pages actually, I have tissue like folded over for a few pages. And this one little area was talking about how we abuse ourselves. Hey, Vicki, good morning. And how, like, you see teenagers take drugs and do things that they really don't want to do just because they want to be accepted. They don't want that feeling of rejection. And it was also saying in the book how we punish ourselves endlessly. Like, something will happen, we have the emotions on that, we judge ourselves, we're hard on ourselves about it. You can get it, Laura, on Amazon. And you can also Google T is for Transformation and find it. But you can find it on Amazon. That's where I got mine. And then I got an autographed copy of it that actually stays up on my shelf. That will never get opened and read. So they talk about how we basically abuse ourselves. We're very hard on ourselves. And say something happened like years ago, but something came up and it brought up what happened years ago. You go through all the same emotional things that you went through right when that happened. And then you feel all those emotions again. You judge yourself again. You're hard on yourself again. For those that have done that, if you still do that, I want to see thumbs up and hearts go across the screen so I know that I am not alone on this, because that happens to me. Good morning, Brenda. Like, something happened with a specific person in my family. And then when somebody brings, oh, thank you, there's hearts going across the screen. That means I'm not alone. And when anybody even brings up that person's name, something about that person, I legitimately go back to the day that it happened, how I felt, how I judged myself about it, how I tore myself apart about it. And I wasn't even in the wrong, but all those emotions get brought back up. And that's what this is talking about. Good morning, Kimberly. It's talking about how we abuse ourselves in that way. And a lot of times it says in the book something about a lot of times we will be in an abusive relationship because we think that's what we deserve, because we are so abusive within ourselves. So even if it's a verbal abusive relationship, we are so abusive within ourselves, excuse me, that we think that's what we deserve. So that's what we're okay with. And we allow other people to abuse us, and we allow other people to treat us poorly because we think that's where we should be, because we have such self-limiting belief on what we should be. And in this book, when I was reading it yesterday, it was saying a lot about how all of our beliefs in life and beliefs about things come from when we were kids. and what we were taught as kids. And that's why when we get older, we become teenagers and we become adults, we have that conflict within ourselves and we never fully feel complete. We never fully feel like, everything is in the right place because we're constantly conflicted because of what we were taught, how we grew up, what we were taught was right and wrong, what we were taught should be our beliefs, whether you're Catholic or Jewish, and all that was just put upon us. We didn't choose it. We didn't even choose our parents. So it's saying how, hi Deborah, it's saying how because of that, that's why we have so much conflict. But it's saying that one of the biggest things that we do to ourselves is self-abuse. How nobody abuses us more than we abuse ourselves. And if somebody abuses us a little more than how we abuse ourselves, we'll write that person off. There was another part in here. I'm trying to find it real quick. And it says that there's thousands of agreements, hence the reason why this is the 4 agreements. There's thousands of agreements that we make with ourselves, and our parents or our spouse or God or whoever we make these agreements with, to where we tell ourselves who we are, what we believe in, what we feel, how we behave. Those are agreements. A lot of those agreements are already implanted in us at a young age. Hey Jean, how are you? Hi Thomas. At a very, very young age. And then we have Visenya, good morning. Then we have those, a lot of those conflicts because of that. There was a part that I wanted to save because I wanted my daughter to read it. Okay, let's see. Okay, this part, I just have to read it. It's going to come off better for you guys if I read it. Okay, it says, you see teenagers taking drugs to avoid rejection from other teenagers. They are not aware that the problem is that they don't accept themselves. So, I have teenagers in my house and they go through this. They feel like they're not accepted. They don't have a lot of friends. And it's because they're not accepting themselves. They reject themselves because they're not what they pretend to be. So when I read that sentence, they reject themselves because they are not what they pretend to be, I was like, wow. I'm always talking about be true to who you are. Be who you are. Hey, Christy. And right there, it even says it. Because when you're not being true to who you are, you're feeling rejected because you're pretending. So, you're rejecting yourself because you're pretending who you are. You're not being true inside of what you believe and what you feel. There you have that conflict. They wish to be a certain way, but they're not. And for this, they carry shame and guilt. So you're like my teenagers, they strive, they compare themselves to other people. And I'm sure as adults, we do the same thing. Lots of comparing to other people. And when you do that comparison, let me use this gift card that's put in here. When you use that comparison and you're comparing to somebody else, you're striving to be like that person and you're constantly looking at that person to be like them. And when you're doing that, you're giving yourself rejection and you're rejecting yourself because you're not like that person. Humans punish themselves endlessly for not being what they believe they should be. They become very self-abusive and they use other people to abuse themselves as well. I read that paragraph. That was at the beginning of my reading this morning. And I read that paragraph. I was like, wow. It was like, hey, Jules. It was like mind blown, that thought process. Because I think of that all the time. And I talk to you guys about that all the time. But I've never been able to put it into that perspective. That's why we go after the abusive people. Or that's why, if you notice, my husband actually asked me this the other day. Why do women always go after the a-holes? And, I talked to him a little bit about it, but it's because we don't feel that we deserve anything better. So, okay, Laura, have a good day. So because we have that limiting self-belief and we feel rejected, we're rejecting ourselves because we don't feel that we're owning up to who we think we should be or who we're trying to pretend to be. Then that's why we allow the not so nice people in our life. So my question on this video was, do you abuse yourself? And that's my call to action for you today, not to abuse yourself, but to really look and see, do you? Is that something that you do? Do you truly just sit there and abuse yourself? Do you reject yourself? Do you feel... That happened to me too once, Laura. It was with a boyfriend, but the same thing happened to me. When I fought back, I got in trouble. So I really want you to sit and think long and hard today about this topic. This is really, really important. I can already tell that I'm going to love this book. I'm going to get a lot of information from this book, and I think I'm going to make my kids read it. But I want you to really sit and think about abuse and how you abuse yourself, because we all do in different ways. I know I do a lot of judgment on myself. When I look at myself, only see my flaws, and that's abuse. So that is something that I need to work on. So I really want you to sit and think, how do I abuse myself? What do I do? Do I talk down to myself? Do I not go after my beliefs? Do I hold back my beliefs and the things that I love and the things that I truly want? So I really want you to take a moment and think about abuse and how you abuse yourself on a daily and what you can do to change that. I am sure when I read the next chapter, it's going to give me tips on what I can do to change that, and I will share that with you guys as I go on into this book. But I want you to think of some solutions on your own. So I want you to have a wonderful day, guys. It'll be Thursday, probably like around 12:30. I'm taking the kids to the movies today, so I'm going to make a shake. Hey, Steffi! I'm going to make a shake before we go to the movies because that is how I stay on track. So I'll double shake it today. I'd rather have 2 shakes than eat popcorn. I'm trying to be really good before I go on my cruise and really follow my meal plan 100% so I can rock that bikini best that I can. So have a great day, guys, and I will see you later. Bye.